I don't think anyone was supposed to see this. It looks like we now have video of Turning Point staff, maybe security for Charlie, sliding over a table to grab something, it appears, while someone else grabs something, they hand it off, and they both take off. This would have been moments before someone then comes in and removes the camera from behind Charlie's head. Now, I wasn't going to talk about this. Full transparency, I had no intention on bringing this video to you. It was after I saw a clip from Candace Owen's video yesterday where she showed a letter, and I'll show you guys here as well, a letter that Charlie had written in regards to Turning Point and concerns he had in regards to money, where I thought, I think we need to see this. I think this needs to be brought out on a larger scale. So we're going to look at it here together. So we'll watch it with them again and pay attention. Now, at this point, they don't know if Charlie's gone. They don't know. They just hear a shot fired. He's on the ground. He's bleeding. And this is what people do. There's some people saying this here, he's adjusting his gun in the back pocket. I see something different. So, and here, watch this. Let's go back. So he slides across. I feel like he grabs something here at this point on the table. He puts something with his right hand. It looks like there's a gun in the left side of the pocket. And it does look like afterwards he adjusts something in the left side of the pocket. But from what I can tell in this video, it appears as though he's putting something in the right-hand side. Now, they talk about potential remote detonator. I'm not sure if how I feel about that. But this guy in the brown also appeared to have grabbed something, handed it off. It just in the adding up of everything does not make much sense to me. Now, we're also going to look at another video that I found. I think at this point, we've all seen the one where the video behind Charlie is taken away. And keep in mind, this is all in minutes after his passing, minutes after he's assassinated. Wouldn't you want to leave the crime scene exactly as it was so that police can do a thorough investigation? That would be my assumption, that you would want to keep things exactly as they were. But no, instead of what makes the most logical sense, staff are appearing to grab things off the table, grab things from the vicinity, and take off with it. They're taking down the camera immediately. They're then doing what I'm going to show you here. And then the university paves over the spot almost immediately. And I've had people say, well, actually, maybe it had to do with the students and they didn't want the students to see. There must have been a lot of blood there. It's an active crime scene. Just mark off the area. And from what I can see, it looks like he was on some sort of platform as well. Not to say that stuff wouldn't get everywhere, especially due to the injury. However, just mark off the area, cover the area. You see people and bodies that are found after Gabby Petito is a great example. And to protect the site, they had like a canopy over her and the area closed off so that even drones or planes couldn't see what's going on. So there's ways to protect the space without immediately ripping up everything and saying, oh, yeah, it's totally fine. He's the Man of Steel and makes complete sense that this kid who has no history shooting a gun took this shot with a gun, and that doesn't make sense because we have not seen Tyler at any point carrying a gun. But The police, the official statement wants you to believe that, well, he had this magic backpack with multiple different changes of clothes in it, this gun that was broken down. He gets up there, he puts it together, he breaks it down again, he jumps off the roof with his magic backpack, and then he goes and he puts it together just to leave it by a chicken coop so that the police can find it. It makes no sense. So here's the video here. Actually, I'll show you first what the text here says. Here's the same Charlie Kirk show staffer removing a second SD card from the closet camera directly facing Charlie Kirk when he was shot 10 minutes after the crime, with all civilians pushed back completely away from the scene. What's his excuse for this one?
Yeah, I stay back in the grass as much as possible. The guy who was arrested, I got a photo of. Yeah, not sure.
He was just assassinated, and we are removing everything, including the video. Would you not want to leave the video there? Again, it doesn't make sense. But there's more weird goings on at this assassination. Now the press is running with elderly man hauled away by cops after Charlie Kirk shooting in Utah was local political agitator. So they're talking about, this says here was arrested in the chaotic moments following the assassination of the right-wing influencer 31 on Wednesday afternoon. The white-haired attendee was seen kneeling on the ground as police handcuffed him before he was hauled away from the doomed rally. As the dramatic scene unfolded, Zinn's pants dropped to his ankles. He was seen shuffling in his boxers as cops forced him through the shell-shocked crowd at the Orem campus. So he claimed that he was the one that shot Charlie. But does that name sound familiar at all? Let's have a look. This was the first guy detained because the FBI had said, "We found the killer." No, just joking, we didn't. We found the killer. Rip up the grass, pave over the area that Charlie was assassinated, don't do an autopsy, get him on a plane, get him out of the area, and close up shop. He's the man of steel. We found the bullet within him. Case closed. But the interesting piece is when you go into depth on who this George Zinn is, he's been accused of being a crisis actor, which sometimes called a conspiracy theory, sometimes called an actual thing. And it says the individual in question, George Zinn, has been linked to media coverage or arrests in connection with several high-profile incidents over the years. How? This aligns with common conspiracy claims about crisis actors, people allegedly hired to participate in witness staged events for narrative purposes. Here's the breakdown. 911 attacks in 2001. Zinn appeared in a resurfaced video. I have it, I'll show you. Interview from September 11th, 2001, where he stated he immediately knew Al-Qaeda was responsible upon seeing the towers fall. This places him as an on-scene witness in the New York City during the terrorist attacks, despite being a Utah resident. Salt Lake City Marathon bomb threat, 2013. Shortly after the Boston Marathon bombing, Zinn was arrested and charged with making a terrorist threat via email to the Salt Lake City Marathon organizers, offering to help place bombs, which he later claimed was a joke. He pleaded guilty and received probation. 2025, Charlie Kirk. Zinn was detained at the scene of conservative activist Charlie Kirk's fatal shooting at Utah Valley University on September 10th, 2025, amid chaos, where witnesses reported him shouting, distracting police. He was initially held as a person of interest, but released after being cleared of involvement in the shooting itself. Instead, he was charged with obstruction of justice. Well, that's a little bit weird, right? This guy keeps popping up at significant events. There's individuals saying this is a 1 in 2 billion chance that he was involved in all of these events. But let's look at the video he made for 9/11.
It was an interesting time when I went to, I was in Denver just
There he
on
is, George
September
Zinn.
10th, 2001, and I'm a huge Broncos fan, so I was good. It was the opening night of Denver Broncos Stadium. I went down there, and we were playing the Giants that night, and so it was a huge event for us. I remembered everything.
And we'll just skip ahead because, again, unfortunately, I don't want to be hit with a copyright.
In the lobby, something's happening here. They said there's a plane that's headed towards one of the towers in New York City. And we're just glued. Everybody in the lobby is just going, wow, this is pilot error. What's going on here? It was very confusing. And we see that plane go in, and we just think, wow, and then I think it was a 912 or something like that that second plane hit that tower. Immediately chaos.
So what are the chances? 1 in 2 billion that he was at all these events. 1 in 2 billion.
Business facility. So I don't think it had any kind of particular attraction towards what was happening at the time. But I go down in Denver, downtown, to see what's going on. And it really hadn't hit people. I mean, it was kind of business as usual for a while.
All right, so that's all we'll watch in regards to that. I just want to show you the post where people are saying this is a 1 in 2 billion chance that he was at all 3 events. And here is the video here. And it's Ryan Mata Media on X.
All you conspiracy theorists out there, I don't want you going crazy, but what are the odds that George Zinn, the patsy that was arrested at the Charlie Kirk assassination, also saw 9/11? He saw the planes fly into the buildings and called that in and reported it. And then he also called in a fake terrorist attack at the Boston Marathon bombing and just so happened to get arrested at Charlie Kirk's event. So Tess Keyser, she responded to this tweet and she says, Grok is a guy really involved in all 3 events like this post claims. And Grok fact checks and goes, based on a review of multiple sources, George Zinn was a witness to the 9/11 attacks, and he described seeing planes hit the towers. He was also arrested in 2013 for emailing a bomb threat joke to the Salt Lake City.
There you go. Another odd happening amongst all. There you go. A really odd detail in something that doesn't make sense at all. And again, how many coincidences do we need to pile up? The plane, the transponder, well, it was just a rural area. That's why it conked out. The book, the Amazon book, which I have a video up on this, so make sure to check out that video, that showed up on September 9th, the day before his death. It was a glitch, Amazon said. We continually get these glitches and gaps and tech issues that continue to be presented to us to allegedly make sense of all the things that don't make sense. Oh, it's just a tech glitch. Oh, it's just, rural area, rural internet. Am I right? But when do we start to say, well, maybe it's not actually a conspiracy theory? And again, I wasn't going to bring up these videos of the Turning Point staff until the video that Candace made yesterday. I haven't seen the entire video, but I did watch a clip in regards to this letter that she gained access to. And let's pull it up now. Now, am I saying that Turning Point is the one that ordered an assassination on Charlie? No. Am I saying it was the Israeli government? No. Am I saying it's the American government? No. What I am saying is something doesn't add up, and someone other than simply a lone shooter that had no history, no known history of being a shooter, and was so intelligent to get a full ride scholarship, 34 out of 36 on his ACTs, 4.0 GPA, but dumb enough to text all the details to everyone he's ever talked to. I don't believe this story they're giving us. Something doesn't make sense. But isn't it the police? Isn't it the FBI's job to figure out how this all comes together? And I have some people saying, Ashley, you should be trusting the FBI. They'll come out with the details. Don't worry. Since when do we trust legacy media? In fact, the whole point of this challenge or this channel is trust no headline. It's all about exposing media manipulation and narrative control here. This whole channel I've created is about exposing legacy media. So since when do we believe legacy media? This is the letter that Candace Owens had shared on her channel yesterday. And this is the Charlie's Concerns at TPUSA and questions about the Fed's involvement or investigation. That's the video she did last night. And it reads, Dear Team America, effective immediately, Justin Struff is taking on a new elevated role with Turning Point USA as its Chief Operating Officer, COO. Since joining Turning Point USA in 2020, Justin has led Turning Point's fundraising division and in more recent years has been involved in some organizational operations, filling his COO role in many ways, but now officially taking on the title and expanded responsibilities. In the COO role, Justin will directly oversee development, events, finance, TPUSA Faith, media, marketing, productions, asset management, distribution, Turning Point education, BLEXIT, HR, and legal. Justin will also closely coordinate with Andrew Cipher on the National Field Program. In this role, I've empowered Justin, among other priorities, to engage in an organizational-wide Doge effort. Justin will be assembling a small team to assist in this effort, which is focused on Turning Point USA, 1, becoming more efficient, 2, becoming more cost-effective, 3, unifying organizational success around company-wide metrics and goals, and 4, reshaping company culture. I expect many positive changes to come from this forthcoming initiative and Justin's expanded role. Please join me in congratulating Justin on this new role with the organization. This had gone out on September 2nd, a week before his death. Let's hear what Candace has to say.
Surprised the company by announcing that he was set about finding out why and how this was happening. So on September 2nd, which is, of course, just 1 week before he lost his life, Charlie surprised the company by announcing that he was putting together a Doge department. Yes, a department of government efficiency like Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy had set out to do. Trump won. They got behind him, right? They said, hey, there's a lot of pork. We don't know where this money is going. People are just accepting checks. Again, this is the whole purpose of the Department of Doge. You put us in there and we're going to figure out how all these bureaucrats are just wasting tax dollars.
And I think this is great for everyone to know, because not everyone's American, so you don't really know what this department is or what he means by saying that in the letter.
Really kind of a nice way of saying we're going to conduct an audit of the government, right? That's the only way to look at what Doge was. It's an audit, and then you cut the fat and you see where the money's actually going. Don't listen to me, by the way, because we can read Charlie in his own words. This was a internal memo that went out, signed off by Charlie on September 2nd.
And so she talks about the internal memo that we just read, because he had concerns about where finances were going, where money was going. So not only in previous videos have we talked about how he was receiving pushback from those closest to him, even in Turning Point, and pressure to cave in and change his narrative. I shared those tweets from people that have since changed their narrative and are backtracking, backpedaling, and pretending that never happened. Not only that, but now we have evidence that was the end of August. People were turning on him from his inner circle on X, which he also talked about on Megyn Kelly's show and on his own. And then we have this coming out the beginning of September. So concerns from those around him that he wasn't falling in line. He had questions. Even Megyn Kelly said, yes, he had questions. That's why I played the video of his interview with me, which we also played on this channel. Yes, he had questions about Israel and about the war and about all of it, but he had earned, and Megyn said he had earned the ability through his loyalty to ask some reasonable questions, which I think is reasonable. And then you get this. I'm not saying Turning Point did anything, but I am saying it seems like they were turning on him and he was noticing that something wasn't right. So again, what I say is something isn't right. And one of the pieces that is the most irritating for me, because I can see it already, heaven forbid you say anything, and I've noticed this even with Megyn Kelly, she says anything that is questioning the narrative or supporting Charlie in his changing views towards different positions he had previously held prior to his death. Well, you know, you're falling into the conspiracy of Candace Owens. It's just a conspiracy. You are anti-Semitic. I don't want to hear any of that crap. Most of the people I follow in regards to this, and most of the people I'm getting my information from, are military, ex-military, or ex-snipers. That's the primary source of my information from this. Plus my own critical thinking skills, my own ability to research. So stop reducing anyone that has questions to be some conspiracy theory. And if you're anti-legacy media, that's the same thing legacy media did. I talked about this recently on the channel where Ronan Farrow was on Monica Lewinsky's podcast. And he's going, okay, well, either you trust legacy media and you're with us. We do the proper research. We're investigating properly. We're asking the right questions. Or you're on the disinformation side with Candace. And everyone's lumped in. Stop lumping people in. Allow people to have critical thinking. That's what's happening right now, because none of this makes sense. And then it comes out that apparently he didn't have an autopsy. There's ballistics experts coming out saying that doesn't make sense, that the bullet that they're saying hit him couldn't have been the one. We have this weird situation where nothing makes sense, because there was some people saying to me, well, actually, people are saying Candace said he couldn't get shot from behind. I watched that clip. That clip was sent to me. It's not what she said. In fact, she did agree that there were some weird things going on to his right. What she had said is she thinks it's his necklace that had popped back, which doesn't make sense. Even if he got shot on the left side above his collarbone, it still doesn't make sense. Still doesn't make sense. And then you have other people that have watched that video and saying, yeah, I still think he got hit from the right side, but it was actually his earpiece that popped off. And other people saying, no, there's clearly, and the earpiece thing doesn't sit right with me, because it does look like something scatters. I would say it would be more likely in my mind to have been a necklace that broke and scattered, or blood, rather than an earpiece that just pops off. But you have everyone saying this doesn't make sense. Something comes loose over his right shoulder. But if he gets shot here on his left throat, I've looked at all the pictures. You might be able to argue that with my choker. If I got shot there where my choker is, that the choker broke. There was nothing in that spot. So there's a lot of theories that are starting to come out that I'm noticing, of people saying, well, it doesn't make sense no matter where he got hit, how his shirt kind of explodes up. Like, the shirt doesn't make sense. And I've even seen people say, could it have been something that detonated? Even like a device within the mic? I don't know. I am not an expert on that. I can't speak to that. But that's where a lot of people are also starting to go, is could something have detonated around him that was connected to him? And then it might make sense why the entry wound, if you're going with, that was an entry wound on the left side of his neck, why it didn't go out the other side, why it's not large, why doesn't, it just doesn't make sense, right? So maybe you could get to that point from there, and then it makes sense why the necklace broke. But then it still doesn't make sense that we have what appears to be a shooter over his right-hand shoulder. And even Candace said something looks sketchy. She said she was going to have someone check out an area over there, because she agreed it didn't make sense. She had said the bush that people were saying, no, it's a bush, it wasn't a person. She said, no, I've seen pictures from that. My team sent me pictures. So you guys have been sending me clips. But anyway, and those pictures and the clips are in the same video I just played the little clip from. So the Charlie Kirk expressed concerns about TPUSA finances. She talks about it just before this clip that I played for you guys here. But stop lumping people in. People have questions. It doesn't make sense. No matter where he got hit, why did his necklace explode if it was in fact his necklace? It doesn't make sense. All right, my friends. So make sure to like, subscribe, get notifications. We will continue covering this, because it does fall within the umbrella of the channel, which is media manipulation and narrative control. And I strongly believe there is media manipulation and narrative control happening here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, guys. What I found, nobody wants to hear.